She didn't just win a game. She broke the math of the WNBA in real time. 32 points, 20 rebounds, one box score that made half the league stop scrolling and say, "Wait, what?" On August 10th, 2025, inside Michelob ULTRA Arena, A'ja Wilson became the first player in WNBA history to post a 30-point, 20-rebound double-double as the Las Vegas Aces beat the Connecticut Sun 94-86. First ever. In a league loaded with glass eaters and bucket getters, nobody had stitched those two numbers together in one night until A'ja did. And it wasn't empty fireworks. This came with weight. The Aces, who've ridden a season that felt more roller coaster than parade, grabbed their fourth straight win to climb to 18-14. A mid-August push, powered by their cornerstone, at the exact moment the standings start to harden. No stat padding here. It was leverage. The kind that flips a locker room's energy and reminds everybody that when 22 is locked in, Vegas still has the best player on earth. The line itself is almost rude. 32 points on 13 of 25 shooting, a perfect 6 for 6 at the line, and 20 boards, with 5 dimes and 2 steals tossed in like garnish. The Sun shot a crisp 51% from the field, but got just 2 free throws all night. Vegas? 21 attempts. That's the A'ja effect twice over. She pressures your rim on offense and hoovers your misses on defense until your margin for error collapses. Connecticut walked out shooting better and still lost by 8. That's not normal basketball math. That's superstar gravity rewriting the equation. If you want a turning point, circle the late second quarter stretch, a 12-0 run that dragged the game back to even at halftime. Close games rarely hinge on one moment, but runs like that change how time feels. They shift a crowd from worried to certain. From there, Vegas leaned into defense, pounded the paint, and let Wilson's footwork do the rest. Connecticut kept answering. Marina Mabrey dropped 22, Sonia Rivers fired off the bench, but every answer met a longer reply from 22. The Aces won the math, the glass, and the moments. That's the entire sport distilled. And the history? Wilson herself sounded almost surprised. She said it felt wild that, with so many greats in history, this was just happening now. And then she did what the greats always do. Put it back on the love of the game, the team, the joy. It's the kind of quote you hear after a banner night and think, yeah, but who else can talk like that and then back it up like this? The list is short. The receipts are long. Here's a detail that sneaks up on you. With this game, Wilson moved to 30 career 30-point outings, tying Breanna Stewart for third all-time. It's a reminder that for as loud as 32 and 20 is, this isn't a random spike. It's part of a pattern, the kind that shows up over years across seasons with different teammates and schemes. She's been living in the 30s while anchoring elite defenses and carrying ring expectations. That's not just peak form. That's a resume. If you're wondering whether this is a late career spike, it's not. Earlier this season, she became the fastest player in WNBA history to 5,000 points, doing it in just 238 games, quicker than Breanna Stewart and Diana Taurasi. Stack that next to the 3 MVPs and the trophies in the Aces case, and you see the shape of the argument forming. This isn't just dominance now. This is dominance with historical timestamps all over it. And here's where the story zooms out. It's easy to frame the 30-20 as a solo flex, but the context matters. Vegas has been wobbling between dynasty swagger, and where did that go? For stretches this year, then caught a late summer rhythm. Now they get the defending champ New York Liberty on Wednesday in Las Vegas, a national TV stage that always pulls bigger narratives out of the box score. It's the perfect sequel to a record night. A'ja just set a bar no one in the league had ever touched, and 2 days later, she'll be measured against the standard of champions again. That's pressure. That's fun. That's what you want from August basketball. And because we're telling the truth, a 30-20 in the WNBA isn't just rare, it's borderline mythic. Rotations run deep. Pace and spacing have evolved. Double teams arrive early. Sometimes they arrive in the layup line. Bigs are asked to wall up, switch, sprint, and still carry offense. That's why no one had stitched 30 and 20 together in one night across nearly 3 decades of the league until now. It's not that nobody could score 30 or vacuum 20 boards. It's doing both in the same game, under the modern pressure, while also facilitating and defending. The Venn diagram barely touches. A'ja just planted a flag in that overlap. But that wasn't the whole story. Part 2 digs into why 30-20 is so hard tactically, historically, and physically, and breaks down the subtle choices that made this night possible. Angles, footwork, weak side timing, free throw economy, and how Vegas weaponized her gravity to flip the Suns' shot profile. Here's the part people gloss over. A 30-20 in the W isn't rare because players can't score or rebound. It's rare because the league is designed to punish anyone who tries to do both on the same night. Shorter game, smarter scouting, tougher rotations, a long list of little taxes that add up until the box score taps out. Aya paid all those taxes and still walked out rich. Start with the clock. You get 40 minutes, not 48. That trims possessions, trims shots, trims misses to rebound, and compresses decision-making. If you're chasing 30, you usually burn energy on the block, the elbow, and the line. If you're chasing 20 boards, you bang every play and live in contact. Doing both means you're sprinting between jobs with no coffee break. Most stars pick a lane for the night. Aya kept both plates spinning. Then, there's the double-team tax. The league doesn't wait to show help. It arrives early, often from the nail or the baseline tagger sitting in the dunker spot. Show too late, and you give up the layup. Show too aggressive, and you give up the kick-out three. Star bigs in the W spend half the night reading puzzles. Wilson doesn't just read them. She writes the next page. If the low man sits in her lap, she flips to a short roll. If the topside stunt comes early, she goes spin counter into the middle. If they front the post, she seals on the high side and turns the entry into a layup drill. Every answer costs the defense energy and fouls. Spacing is another tax. The W today is modern 5 outlooks, trail threes, corner gravity, but paint touches still run the economy. The trick is creating space inside a crowded lane. Wilson's footwork is the crowbar. Watch how she sets a bait step to the baseline, nudges the defender's hips, then opens like a door hinge to the middle. It's subtle, it's mean, and it stacks high percentage looks without needing 100 dribbles. Less dribble equals less time for the second defender to arrive. Now, the rebounding math. Grabbing 20 boards is a probability game disguised as a toughness test. You need positioning before the shot, first contact at the hit, and second effort after the bounce, while never getting nudged under the rim by a weak side crash. Wilson's superpower isn't just height or bounce, it's timing. She reads the arc early, meets the ball at its highest point, and boxes out in layers, first the primary, then the guard who sneaks inside for the cheapie. When the shot falls, there's nothing to rebound. When it bricks long, most bigs lose it to wings. Aya wins both fights by winning the first step. Fatigue is the silent killer. Post-scoring takes bursts of anaerobic effort. Sprint rim to rim, seal, fight for position, explode through contact. Rebounding stacks isometric strain. Hold your ground, absorb hits, jump again, land again. Stack those patterns for 4 quarters, and most players are fried by the mid-fourth. Wilson's trick is energy budgeting. She'll choose her sprints. She'll live in selective seals rather than wrestling every trip. She'll conserve juice on low-leverage possessions and unleash it when the game swings. That's not effortlessness, it's control. Fouls shape everything. You can't chase 20 boards if you pick up quick whistles wrestling for position. You can't reach 30 if you're on the bench with too early. Wilson's discipline shows up in her hands. She bodies first, reaches late, and trusts verticality. That buys her minutes. Minutes buy her volume. Volume buys her history. And don't forget the gravity loop. Once she starts scoring, your defense bends. Help takes a half step inward. Shooters breathe. Lanes open. Suddenly, the very shots she's not taking become the shots that keep the defense honest, which circles back to single coverage, which circles back to touch shots in her wheelhouse. On the glass, it's the inverse. When guards have to stun at her drives, they're out of rebounding position. That's one more board she can vacuum with little resistance. Offense feeds gravity. Gravity feeds rebounding. Rebounding feeds extra possessions. Extra possessions feed offense. That loop is how a normal great night turns into a number the league has never seen. There's also the mental stack. Big nights require choosing boring winning plays over hero shots. Wilson will kick out of a good look for a great look because it raises her odds on the next touch. She'll hit the cutter, trust the repost, and force your defense to decide who it actually fears. Most players chase the number and lose the game. She chases the leverage, and the number shows up anyway. And then the micro details, the stuff you only notice when you slow it down. Early seals at the dotted line so the entry arrives before help. Swing sequences that make the closeout long. Then the duck in short. High hands on putbacks to avoid needless gathers. Short roll jumpers taken with the feet already squared, so there's no wasted turn. These aren't highlights. They're habits. Stack enough habits and the box score starts looking like fiction. Last piece. Trust. Teammates have to buy into funneling the miss to your best rebounder and feeding the hot hand without drifting into your turn, my turn. Vegas did. Guards crash smart. Wings walled off the weak side. The ball found 22 when it mattered, and 22 rewarded the trust. You don't get 30 to 20 alone. You get it because your team is synchronized around your superpower for one night. So yes, 30 to 20 is almost impossible. That's what makes it a line you remember. It's not just the size of the numbers. It's the number of problems you have to solve simultaneously for 40 minutes, with everyone watching and adjusting. Aya solved them one by one, then solved the ones the box score doesn't list. But that was the mechanics. The next chapter is the meaning. Part 3 dives into where this night places her in the all-time conversation, MVPs, records, the 5,000-point milestone, and how the dynasty debate changes when you keep moving the goalpost yourself. Here's the truth the box score hints at but doesn't say out loud. That 32 to 20 wasn't a one-off explosion. It's another tile in a mural Aya has been painting for years. 3 MVPs, 2020, 2022, 2024. 2 rings. Finals MVP. The single-season rebound record. Fastest to 5,000 career points. Stack those lines and you don't just get a star. You get a resume that forces the room to reshuffle its greatest ever seeding chart. Start with the most recent stamp. Fastest to 5,000. She did it in 238 games, quicker than anyone who's ever played in this league. That's not a cute trivia note. It's a pace check. It says her prime arrived early, sustained itself, and kept adding layers even as the league's scouting, spacing, and size kept evolving. When milestones land ahead of schedule, it usually means something bigger is coming behind them. Now add the new line in ink. First 30 to 20 in history. The kind of first that survives endless eras because it's about solving multiple problems at once. Usage, efficiency, fatigue, whistle management, and timing on the glass, under playoff level pressure. You can't luck into that. You build the habits and the engine, then you pick the night. She picked it against a physical team and dragged Vegas to its 4th straight win to climb to 18 to 14. That's legacy work disguised as a Sunday game. Zoom out to the scorer's ledger. With this game, Aya now owns 30 career 30-point nights, tied 3rd all-time with Breanna Stewart. Only Angel McCoughtry, 32, and Diana Taurasi, 54, sit ahead. Translation: the peak isn't rare air anymore. It's basically home court. It's also a bridge between eras. Taurasi's flamethrower 2000s, McCoughtry's takeover 2010s, and Aya's two-way 2020s where you're expected to score like a guard and defend like a center. She's doing both, often on the same night. But the real argument lives where trophies meet context. She's a 3-time MVP, a 2-time champion, and an all-defense anchor, which means her prime didn't trade offense for defense. It fused them. That's what bends history. Plenty of legends lit up the scoreboard. Fewer did it while setting the back line, quarterbacking coverages, and dictating shot profiles. Those are the boring, invisible wins that make flash possible. That's why her nights age well. They're built on things that travel. Footwork, angles, anticipation, discipline. And then there's the consistency under turbulence. This Aces season hasn't been parade ready from day one. They've teetered, regrouped, and now they're surging. That matters in legacy debates more than people admit. Anyone can dominate when everything's perfect. The greats tilt seasons back into place. 4 in a row, a record night, and the standings moving the right direction. That's the part voters and fans remember when they stack careers. If you want the cleanest snapshot of where she sits historically, look at how many categories she's touching at once. Scoring volume? Check. Fastest to 5K and now 3rd place pace in 30-point games. Rebounding? Check. Single season record and a 20-board night that reads like fiction. Team success? Multiple titles and deep runs. Individual shine? The trophy case says enough. That overlap is rare. It's what moves a player from all-time great to era-defining. And the story isn't frozen. Wednesday brings the Liberty in Vegas, a stage that always feels bigger than the calendar square it sits on. One record book performance followed by a measuring stick matchup against the defending champs. That's how reputations turn into folklore. You don't hold a 30-20 forever. You defend it with your next week. One more thread here. The way her peak forces a rewrite of positional expectations. Old school centers were rim and post. Modern bigs stretch the floor. IS version blends post scoring, face-up creation, foul pressure, switchable defense, and late-game poise. Without chasing threes just to check a trend box. She scores efficiently and shapes games without the ball. That's the kind of profile that ages into the best of their generation talks because it keeps winning in different environments. So, where does this night put her? On a short list and getting shorter. If the rest of the season stacks the way last week did, win streaks, leverage games, and 1 or 2 more no-way stat lines, the conversation won't just be, is she top 3 all-time? It'll be, how many more boxes does she even have left to tick? Records are cool. Ripple effects win seasons. IS 32-20 didn't just headline a night. It recalibrated the Aces' entire arc. 4 straight wins. An 18-14 record that suddenly feels less wobbly and more rising. A locker room reminded, again, that when 22 imposes her will, Vegas tilts games back on script. That's the macro. The micro is even nastier. Every scout now has to treat both the paint and the glass as code red when she's on the floor. That strains rotations before the ball even tips. Here's the immediate fallout. Opponents can't single cover post touches anymore without sending a stunt from the nail and parking a body on the weak side glass. That's 2 defenders committed to one problem, freeing Vegas shooters and cutters by default. Double late, and she's at the cup. Double early, and she's kicking to rhythm threes, then walking you under the rim on the repost. Either way, you're conceding something you'd rather not. Add the free throw game. Vegas earned 21 attempts to Connecticut's 2, and you see how the math swings fast when 22 starts bending the floor. And the standings vibe? Momentum is a resource. 4 in a row in mid-August isn't just streaking, it's seeding leverage. The Aces were searching for footing all year. Now they look like themselves at the precise time the table sets for the postseason. That matters in close races where one win flips who holds home court in a later round. Legacies tend to grow in those margins. The next test is delicious. The defending champion New York Liberty in Las Vegas on Wednesday. Big stage, bigger subtext. New York's length and help rotations are built to smother primary options, but their coverage menu has trade-offs. Pin the nail defender with a corner cut, and the baseline is open. Switch the 5 on Aya, and she'll bury the mismatch or, worse, foul it out. Stay home on shooters, and you're living with her touch shots from 8 feet, which, lately, feel automatic. Expect Becky Hammond to open with early angle seals to force New York to choose, which help they're willing to live with. Expect New York to test the stunt and scram timing they pride themselves on. Expect the whistle to matter. A lot. 3 adjustments that flip that chess match. Hit the glass by committee on purpose. New York's best pressure looks pull their guards high, crash from the slot when they do. If IS drawing 2 to the ball, Vegas wings must own the weak side. That's how you turn great Aya night into extra 8 possessions. Connecticut's 23 rebounds to Vegas's 40 is the template. Early offense, late punishment. Run post entries before the help is set, then slow down in the 4th and let footwork win. New York hates toggling tempo within a possession. Make them guess between sprinting back and loading to the block. Guard the whistle. If the Liberty pack paint with body ups, keep the ball high and finish through chests, not arms. Vegas doesn't need a parade, just the same free throw gap that tilts games. Again, 21-2 versus Connecticut isn't normal. It's pressure showing up on the stat sheet. Zoom back to the legacy thread. The 30-21st is already inked. What happens next is how it ages. Stack it next to fastest to 5,000 career points, 3 MVPs, and 30 career 30-point games, tied with Breanna Stewart for 3rd all-time. And you've got a highlight that doesn't live alone. It lives in a timeline. That's how one night graduates from viral to historical, when it clearly belongs to a larger pattern. There's also the quiet edge this gives the locker room. Teams follow certainty. When your cornerstone just did something the league has literally never seen, belief travels faster than schemes. Role players cut sharper. Guards deliver entries on time. Defenders sell out one step more because they trust the anchor behind them. You can't quantify it, but you feel it, the difference between a team chasing rhythm and a team dictating it. What about counters once coaches overreact? If the Liberty front the post and bring a no-middle shade behind it, Vegas can flip Aya into short roll hub mode, set higher, slip into the pocket, and make the nailed defender decide between tagging the roller or surrendering the corner three. If they send a hard double on the catch, invert the offense, empty the strong side, cut under, and force a long rotation to the opposite slot shooter. All of this works because you're solving a problem Aya created. Her gravity is the engine, whether she shoots or not. The final ripple is narrative. The W is a league of eras, and eras get remembered by the nights nobody else had. First 30 to 20 ever is that kind of night. It tightens award races. It nudges debates. It sets a bar for everyone else to chase while Vegas chases something bigger, a path back to a parade. And that path always runs through games like Wednesday, measuring stick, prime time, tiny margins, maximum noise. So where does that leave us? With a player who keeps rewriting normal, a team rediscovering its timing in the stretch run, and a league that just watched the math get bent in public. The record will sit in the book forever. The real story is what Vegas does with the momentum it created, starting with the champs rolling into town. If Aya turns that stage into another leverage win, this won't feel like a spike. It'll feel like the beginning of her next chapter.